I'm Teagan Presley. I have recently had a scary and very creepy and weird situation with my first official stalker. So I truly feel like a porn star now. He had been calling the clubs I've been at and said he was a judge and then a city council member and then he was a journalist, and then he kept calling and he wanted me to endorse his campaign. But he wasn't really a legitimate candidate, and I don't really endorse anybody. So then he kept, going on. And when I eventually went to Dreamgirls in Seattle, he had been known for giving women flowers with rat poison on it. So he had brought flowers up to the club, and when they had let him in the club, they thought he was homeless. So the club ended up taking the flowers from him and ejecting him from the club. So he was already angry. And then he went to another one of their clubs in the same city and got ejected from there as well. He basically showed up in my hotel room at 4 o'clock in the morning and was listening outside my door. When we went to put the Do Not Disturb sign on there, he made a comment reiterating the conversation we were having with my husband, so it was very scary. And then we called security. Security did a sweep of the hotel and they couldn't find him. Well, about an hour later, my husband went to bed and I was still awake, and I hear this knock at the door. Well, I thought it had been security, but there was nobody there. I looked at the footsteps under the door because I'm not just going to go open the door after I've just been featuring all night, because that's how you get robbed with all of your money from the club. So we called security up again and they couldn't find him again, and then he texted us the next day saying, "Hey, I stopped by your hotel room." And then he came down and said, "Hey, you want to buy me a beer?" At that point, we had called the security had called the police. They had arrested him and drew down on him because he had gotten in trouble with so many other things, with bringing a gun to the city council meetings, even though it was a fake gun. He got in trouble for stalking and harassing a female city council member and violating her personal boundaries by showing up at her doorstep. So he's a well-known, legitimate crazy person in Seattle. Like, they have Zazzle's t-shirts that say the Hill Watch. So it was very creepy. And then once he was arrested and he was released, he sent us an email that said, "I'm sorry for your loss of Josh." Well, Josh is my husband, and nothing had happened to Josh. He wasn't sick. He wasn't on a business trip. Nothing had happened to him. And then the next line after that said, "Payback will be coming." So we took that as a threat. We let the district attorney know. We finally just went to court, and me and my husband both had to testify against him. The next day, we found out he got convicted guilty on 2 counts of stalking, one for me and one for my husband, and he gets sentenced January 13th. And when we had made the deal with him, we were going to give him we just wanted him to get mental health. We don't want to see him locked up, He obviously has mental issues, but he said he'd rather go to jail than have that mental illness be put on his record. So I'm just happy that it was victorious, because he's also has money in his family, so he chooses to live indigently or seem indigent. So it's very scary knowing that he can have the means to show up at my house. And how he showed up at my hotel was he researched my real name on the internet and went to the hotel front desk, and against their policy, they gave him my room number, which they weren't supposed to. So that was another big no-no. And I guess when they rearrested him, they had found pictures of me in his pockets, and they had used all this for evidence. And it was the most nerve-wracking, scariest thing I ever had to do. When I was giving my testimony, I just looked at the district attorney the whole time, and I just tried not to look at him because it was very kind of traumatizing in some way. So that has been the new chapter of my life. Hopefully it's closed now.